Today we're being joined here by the new Port Melbourne VFL coach, Adam Skrobolak. Adam, thanks for coming on.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
So obviously you've just been appointed the new Port Melbourne coach late last year. What was the feeling like once you got given the role at Port Melbourne?
Yeah, honoured and excited. Obviously, I was an assistant coach in 2012 at Port Melbourne, and then went on to coach in a few different sort of areas and levels. But to come back and be senior coach is really exciting from my point of view.
So obviously you had some experience also at the Saints prior to coming back to Port Melbourne. What was that like, that time at St Kilda?
Yeah, really good, enjoyable. Obviously learned a lot. I was there for 7 years in a range of different roles. So really hope to bring some of that experience back to VFL level. But yeah, definitely learned a lot and enjoyed the experience.
So obviously you had your first win yesterday for Port Melbourne over the Bombers by 25 points. It would have been pretty impressive to come from behind too. I think it was around, 4 goals down at one point to come over the top, roll over the top of Essendon, and then end up earning a pretty good win in the end.
Yeah, definitely. We were down by, I think it's close to 30 points at one stage. So to rally and come back was really pleasing. But to then go on with it was pleasing as well. And, first 3 rounds we've been in every game. I think the first round was roughly 18 points, and the next one was 2 points, and then 7 points. We had some opportunity in all those games. So to get ourselves in a position to win and then go on with it was really pleasing. And to see the boys enjoy the win, it was a real great moment for the coaching staff.
I sort of mentioned a few particular players. Paul Hunter obviously was at St Kilda for a few years while you were at the Saints. Would it be fair to say you having a previous relationship being his ruck coach at St Kilda helped him make the decision to join Port Melbourne?
Yeah, well, actually, Brendan Lay was a ruck coach at that stage, but he'd played a little bit of forward in that year as well when I was doing the forward. So, we've got a really good relationship and did all the way through that time. So, I got the coaching position and he got delisted probably a couple of months after that. So, we were straight on to Paul, and we really needed a ruckman, and just not his ability that was the interest for us, but just the way he teaches the young rucks and his character is really important for our group, and he's been unbelievable fit for us so far, and he's just really starting to hit his straps with his form. He came up against Bruce in round 1, had COVID in round 2, and he was probably still a little bit sick last week, and then played a ripping game yesterday.
Yeah. A few other players will go through. Eli Temple, obviously a former St Kilda player as well, has been at Port Melbourne for a fair while since he was let go by the Saints. Must be impressive the way he started, which has been really consistent the last 3 or 4 years since joining Port Melbourne, and you'd be impressed with how he's gone so far.
Yeah, he's a really impressive player and character. He's our vice captain as well, along with Harvey Hooper. And he was captain yesterday and played that way. Just his intensity around the ball is at a really high level. And I'm actually surprised that he hasn't had another opportunity at AFL level with the way he goes about it. He finds the ball and uses it quite well. We've added a few things to his game this year where he's getting back and defending a little bit more and using the ball in the back half and through the middle. But his last 3 weeks have been outstanding.
Someone else who has not been on AFL this year is Marcus Lentini, who was at the Coburg Footy Club. And what I'm personally deeming as like more of a shock, like a Nat 5 type move. He was obviously very dominant at Coburg, and obviously was racking up over 30 plus possessions a game there. How excited, obviously, to bring in a young player across that was dominating through his previous club to get him over the line must be a good achievement to do, especially in your first year as a coach. Yeah,
and he fits into our midfield perfectly. I've seen him from afar. He's a quality player and always had a lot of the ball. So he wants to continue to work on his game and play a few other positions as well. He's had some interest from AFL clubs. We want to see him play a little bit of forward. So we're doing that as well. But quality young man, and he's got a lot of improvement to come in his game. He's working really hard on his game. And I think we've seen that probably over the last couple of weeks that when he's using his legs more and kicking a little bit more, he can be quite damaging. And his game yesterday was great. That was his 50th game of VFL footy.
Do you expect him to be on the AFL radar again? Obviously, you said he's already been on the radar. Do you expect him to continue to be on the radar if he keeps up his good form from previous years too, and start of the year?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the past he's probably handballed a little bit too much. AFL clubs like to see guys kick the footy and use their legs. I think that's a skill that he's got that he probably hasn't shown enough of. So, no, I think as he continues to develop this year, there'll be plenty of clubs out there looking for mature age talent, especially with the way things have happened with COVID over the last couple of years. So I think he's a perfect guy that they should be looking at.
Now, obviously, you mentioned about, I just briefly mentioned it before. How did it come about that he was to leave Coburg, and how were you able to get Marcus across the line to the club?
Yeah, we made contact with him quite early on, and then we met with him once or twice, and we heard that he wasn't overly happy there and maybe looking for a change. So we just told him what we could do for him and how we could help developing him, and he made a decision pretty quickly. I think he loves the Coburg Footy Club. I think it was just a time for change for him. He'd been there a while and had a lot of personal success there. So we hope we can bring some on-field success over the next couple of years. But I think just our fit was really good for him, and obviously it's great for us to get someone of that calibre on board.
There are a few other players too that were ex-AFL players as well. Fletcher Roberts, who's a premiership player, he was of the Western Bulldogs, and a young player from former Northern Melbourne player, Corey Wagner. It's good to have some more experience, especially with Fletcher when he's a bit more versatile, can play, played obviously at the Bulldogs mainly as a key defender, but has shown in the past he can play as a key forward, even pinch it in the ruck.
Yeah. Well, he's playing forward for us this year, and it's been quite solid. He's had a little bit of bad luck, really. He's quite quick, crook against Coburg. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have played. We sort of thought he'd be good enough to just get out there, and he did a really good job for us. But yeah, it probably affected him the next week, so he missed the next week after that, and then played on the weekend and was quite reasonable. But we've used him in a number of roles. So obviously starts as a forward, but we've used him as a loose man and even a defender at times. But yeah, he'll play mainly forward for us. But he's just wealth of experience. He's a psychologist by trade as well, so does a fair bit of work with the boys there. So he's very valuable for us, and I think he's a great person to have in our group.
Now, also over the last, I know you just came into the role, but over the last 3 or 4 years, or prior to that, Port Melbourne were very strong, experienced side, but over the last 3 or 4 years, they've lost a lot of young players, or a lot of experienced players, like Toby Pinwell and Jordan Lyle and players like that, Jared Blair as well. Obviously, there's been a different transition where they've been struggling the last year or so, but it's good to see that so far they're starting to improve with a lot of the younger players and newer players coming in the club as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Corey Wagner before. He's someone that we've been able to hang on to. He had a lot of interest from other clubs, but he's been outstanding for us this year. He's played halfback and on ball, and just his contest work and his ball use has been unbelievable. And I'm sure there's AFL clubs that'll be looking at the way he's going about things at the moment. But then we've got this young crop coming through, sort of 19 to 23-year-olds. Mainly for us, they're down back. We've got a lot of key tools that are sort of under 22. But that's the exciting part for us, really. It's just adding some experience around them, but just this new crop coming through, and how we can nurture their talent and hopefully get some of them some opportunity at a higher level, but also bring some success for the club.
Now, I mentioned about Eli Temple before, Marcus Lentini. Do you hope and realistically think that Eli may be a chance to get onto another AFL club, which is shown of his versatility, as you said, playing off halfback and in the midfield as well?
Yeah, Eli's an interesting one. He's starting, I think he's 26 now, so whether clubs still see opportunity at that age, but he's still got a good 4 or 5 years left in him. So I would think so. He plays on AFL mids week in, week out, and does really well. So I think AFL clubs would be silly not to have a look at him with the way he can run, understands the game, and the way he uses the ball. He's definitely someone who can play at the level and have instant impact.
I just want a few quick final questions for you. Now, obviously, VFL's run a bit differently, but do you over time think there should be some form of not a full-on draft, but like some form of a draft in the VFL, and like a trade period type scenario as well? Or do you think it's a bit hard to do in a VFL when there's AFL clubs involved?
Yeah, I think it's a bit hard, sort of with where we're at and all the standalones. Then you've got the AFL clubs got their own VFL, then you've got the affiliate clubs as well, so it makes it a little bit hard. But where I could see it going is potentially South Australia and WA coming into the competition and make it a national competition. I think that'd be really healthy, and it gives these younger guys really good experience with travel and playing against teams across Australia. And at the end of the day, the competition is to help young guys develop their own AFL list, but also get guys an opportunity. I think that would definitely help.
So I really appreciate Adam for coming on the show today, and good luck for Port Melbourne rest of the year, and good luck for yourself individually as well, coaching the Port Melbourne Footy Club.
No worries at all. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.